put it into his graveyard. It doesn't care how it got to exile. And so because it doesn't care how it got to exile, that means all of the white removal, basically, more or less, although there's some black too, helps you get your get cards that you can process. So for instance, all of those when you're looking at this new set, there's that 1/3 drop that gives a creature -3/-3 when it comes into play if you process a card. Remember, that means take it from exile, put it into the opponent's graveyard. That card's great, particularly if big rampy creatures don't become a thing. That card's great. And so a lot of the processing cards, the cards that require you to have process cards to get their effect, at first glance look really, really like, oh man, this thing asks a lot of me. Why don't I just play Siege Rhino? That does exactly what I wanted to do when I cast it. But here's the thing. If you're playing stuff like this deck, 4 Silk Wraps, 1 in a white, and you exile a creature with mana cost 3 or less, there you go. On turn 2, you cast Silk Wrap, you got something in exile. On turn 3, you cast a processing creature, just pull it out of exile, put it into the yard. And white, in particular, has a lot of that kind of removal to it. So you can just get what I would call incidental processing. It just happens by the way your deck works, rather than really having to work for it.
Yeah, and you take this a step farther, too. People have kind of been down on a lot of enchantments that remove creatures because of Dromoka's Command. Dromoka's Command has been horrible for enchantment decks, but now with a deck like this, they go Dromoka's Command. Okay, I'll just sacrifice the Silk Wrap that I've already processed the creature from. So have it. So it's so good, and if this deck can find a way to survive the early game and beat the aggressive decks I think with 4 Silk Wraps and 3 Stasis Snares, you might have a chance. I think a deck like this is fantastic.
I agree.
So, 39th place, Matt Marino. Good job, Matt. Moving. Oh, and before we move off of this topic, talking about ramp into Eldrazi, I don't think I saw a single list that was trying to run See the Unwritten.
Yeah,
Nope.
I was waiting for one of us to say that.
Yeah, so nobody tried to jam it. So, I mean, is it the pros sandbagging it, or do just people think this is not a good strategy?
Well, typically the pros aren't going to come to a thing like this. Guys getting ready for a GP are not going to take their GP deck to this for a couple of reasons. I mean, one, because they, one, it may not be ready yet. I mean, if you look at the Running with Scissors deck, that deck got figured out like 2 days before they hit the Pro Tour, or before they because one of them was up in an attic somewhere and building it. So it may not be built, or if they do have a pretty good idea what they're playing, they don't want it to come out here because it's secretive in many ways.
Yep. So moving on, as somebody who's been trying like hell to jam blue-white control in Standard for the last several months, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the 42nd place list. This is Will Urker playing blue-white control. For creatures, he's running a singleton creature, Halimar Tidecaller, which is the ally that when he enters the battlefield, you may return target card with Awaken from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, doesn't seem that great, but we'll possibly find out why later. For Planeswalkers, just 2 of the new Gideons. He's running 28 lands of the blue-white variety. He's running 1 Quarantine Field, 4 Stasis Snares, which we've talked about, 2 Anticipate, 1 Celestial Flare, 4 Clash of Wills, 4 Dig Through Time, 2 Disdainful Strokes, 1 Horribly Awry, only 1 Ojutai's Command, which seems wrong to me, but whatever. 4 Scatter to the Winds, which...
He's got 1 creature, Jason.
It doesn't matter. It's still an amazing card. 4 Scatter to the Winds, which is the new Awaken counterspell.
You can't even bring that one back.
Hey, pipe down. 1 Secure the Wastes, and then 4 Planar Outburst, which is, as we said before, is the Destroy All Creatures with Awaken.
There it is.
So, looking at this list, it seems like his finisher is the Awaken cards, Scatter to the Winds and Planar Outburst. He's just looking to remove everything from the battlefield and attack you with his lands, or maybe a Gideon that actually survives. You talk about grindy control decks. This is it.
It's funny. When I first saw Awaken, I thought back to my blue-white control deck that I used to play. That thing took forever to finish games. And all I could think of was, man, if I go back to playing blue-white control and now I have no win cons other than my spells, I'm going to go from like turn 30 kills to like turn 45 kills.
Yeah, and strangely missing from his list is the new Take an Extra Turn, Part the Water Veil with Awaken.
Yeah.
I'd love to see a singleton of that in here, but yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this. I see what he's trying to do, and I'm sure he had a decent record, but no, this is not where I want to see Blue Eye Control go.
Nope.
But I figured I'd have to mention it.
So
Moving down the
that
line,
it?
yeah, I see a teamer mid range in 46th. I don't know if that's
We have some requests for Grixis. So in 30th,
okay.
we have a Grixis aggro.
All right, go for it.
We've got 23 creatures, 4 Abbot of Carol Keep, 3 Forerunner of Slaughter, as mentioned by Bob earlier, 2 Goblin Heel Cutter, 1 Lightning Berserker, 4 Monastery Swiftspear, 4 Thunderbreak Regent, 2 Kolagon the Storm's Fury, 3 Zergo Bellstriker, 24 lands in the Grixis variety now that we have it.
Yep.
And any man lands there? No. So spells, 4 Draconic Roar, 3 Wild Slash, 4 Exquisite Firecraft, and 2 Treasure Cruise. So it's basically a full-on aggro deck.
Yeah, it's a weird list because you look at 75% of the creatures and it seems like he wants to just be that Atarka red deck. He just wants to throw stuff out there and just get in. But then he's got your Thunderbreaks and your Kolagons.
You know what I've never understood about this deck, and I did look at it, was I played a Grixis deck against you, Jason, on Saturday. Yeah. Remember that Grixis aggro one I threw together?
Yeah.
Which is nothing like this. It's all colorless or devoid creatures with Ghost Fireblade and like collateral damage, and it's got hangerbacks in it. But I don't know. I just feel like if you're playing four Runners of Slaughter, which is a great card, why there's not enough. There's not enough other stuff to trigger its ability. To give other stuff haste. I mean,
in this deck, yeah. But I mean, now don't get me wrong. I really like Forerunner of Slaughter, and I think in the right deck, he's got a solid place, and he can give himself haste. Don't forget.
Yes.
But yeah, this deck is odd. I don't know. I feel like it could use a little bit more fine tuning, a little bit more focus.
It's basically running blue for Treasure Cruise. That's kind of.
Yeah, that's exactly it, and that was mentioned by Terulian. It's straight up for that.
Do you think it would be better to just pitch the blue and just go with some more threats?
Yeah.
I think you're getting a little cute when you're splashing blue strictly for 2 copies of Treasure Cruise that you may not even see in a game.
We have a lot of people saying the curve is already too high on this list.
Yeah.
It doesn't look right. It looks like it needs more fine tuning. I could get behind a deck like this. If maybe you cut off a little bit of the low end and go more high end. But yeah, as is, it's just kind of, yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
And moving down, so nobody wanted to talk about Teamer? Come on, okay.
Go for it.
All right, we're going to talk about 46th place because there's one important card in here that we haven't talked about yet today. So
we've seen
Rattleclaw Mystic, right?
That's true though, and we've seen Tuan Nugent place very well before.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and cover this list.
All right.
He's got 26 creatures, 4 Hangerback Walkers, of course, 4 Deathmist Raptor, 4 Honored Hierarch or Hierarch or however the hell you pronounce that.
That's card I call.
It's Honored Hierarch.
I've tried to play with this guy before, and if you don't get him on turn 1, he is god awful. So we'll just keep moving on. 4 Rattleclaw Mystic, 3 Shaman of the Forgotten Ways, a guy that a lot of people were expecting to break out this standard season after rotation, and this is the first time we've seen him so far. Could be good. I think we need to keep seeing how the format shapes up, but he's not a terrible card. 4 Whisperwood Elemental, 3 Dragon Lord Atarka, and then for Planeswalkers, he's got 4 Kiora, Master of the Depths.
That's why you wanted to talk about this.
First time we've talked about Kiora all day today, and I think this is the first list in all of the top 60 that's had her in it.
I think you were right.
Yep. And then 3 Brutal Explosion, which we talked about earlier, and then 2 Teamer Charms. So I like this. I think this is pretty solid. I don't like the Honor Hierarch or however the hell you pronounce that.
Yeah.
I'd much rather see Den Protector in here in that place.
Okay.
But otherwise,
I feel like this is all in. That's what this deck is doing. It's going straight for the Shaman of the Forgotten Ways or the Dragon Lord Atarka wins. And, I mean, that...
Well, you've got Dragon. Yeah.
Yeah, that wins you the games. Don't get me wrong.
Uh-huh.
But the early game, like, this deck is one of those decks that you say, unfortunately, Radiant Flames just stops you. Stops you in your tracks.
Yeah, that could be a problem. But, I mean, you've got Hangerback Walker and Whisperwood Elemental to give you that resiliency.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Death Mists with... Well, okay, you have Rattle Claws. They can flip up, I guess. I don't know. I don't know... I just don't know that this is what Temur wants to do anymore. I mean, look...
What does Temur want anymore?
Yeah.
Well, it's always been a clan that I don't think has ever found really its way. But I mean...
Yeah, Temur was always the bastard child of Khans of Tarkir. Let's be honest.
I'll agree.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Cure is a great card. I think somebody's got to break it. It's only a week, so there's plenty of time to do that.
Oh yeah.
I do like Temur Charm. I mean, it's a very I played Temur when it first came out, so I played with Temur Charm. Very versatile card.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mana leak. It's an expensive one, but at its worst, just I feel like I guess it's a meta call, right? Dragon Lord Atarka has been good all the way up until now. So playing him now seems fine. If you're not knowing what we know now, playing 3 Dragon Lords and ramping your way to Dragon Lord seems fine. And I mean, Brutal Expulsion is a card that got a lot of press when it came out.
Yeah.
And seems like an okay card. A lot of people, were like, well, it kills Jace and it exiles a Planeswalker and it gets rid of your creature, and it counters a spell. But it's like, look, what Planeswalker are you dealing 2 damage to that it's then dying?
Yeah,
I mean, it asks a lot to make it work. That's all.
Yeah. Okay, no, I see that. Moving on, I think we should cover at least one of these green-red landfall lists because there were, looks like 3 of them in the top 64. So I'm looking at number 37, Austin Bug. Who wants to talk about this?
I'll do it.
Go for it.
Oh, okay. It's 4 Abbot of Carol Keep, 4 McKindy Slide Runners, so that's the 2/1 landfall trample guy.
Yep.
4 Swift Spears, 4 Scythe Leopard, so 1 green, 1/1 landfall gets +1/+1. 3 Snapping Gnarled, that's a 1 green, 2/2 landfall, and it gets +1/+1. 3 Zergo Bellstriker, 4 Tarkus Command, 2 Become Immense, 1 Fiery Impulse, 4 Wild Slash, and 4 Exquisite Firecraft. And then 23 lands in the green-red variety. He is playing 2 Cinder Glades and a Smoldering Marsh. Sideboard's got a Goblin Heel Cutter, 2 Scab Clan Berserkers, 2 Thunderbreaks, 1 Outpost Siege, 3 Fiery Impulse, 2 Arc Lightnings, and 4 Self-Inflicted Wounds, once again for the pesky Rhino. So first off, he's playing 8 fetch lands. I think he could probably do more than that. No, he's playing 12.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
sorry.
playing 12.
Okay, there we go. Here, all I can say is like, landfall to me just seems kind of meh.
Yeah, it seems much more limited centric.
Yes,
because if you're going to be playing the green-red style aggressive deck like this, you might as well just play the Atarka red that we saw in first.
Yeah.
That just seems better, more refined, more explosive.
True. But
now, maybe some combination. I mean, because Atarka red wins off the back of pumping up creatures.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if you think about it, Temur Battle Rage, and then you crack 2 fetches, so you make your McKindy Slide Runner a 4/3, charge in, and then give it Temur Battle Rage. That could be a thing.
Yeah.
True. And this is where it comes in what I mentioned a lot earlier, where there's a possibility of getting 4 landfall triggers in one turn.
Right.
Yeah. Looking through the rest of the list, I saw a lot of Abzan red, Jeskai green. It seems like there were a lot of the clans that were just splashing a 4th color to splash whatever. Looking at this, what they call Jeskai green, it looks like they were playing Jeskai just to splash Dromoka's Command, which actually seems really good.
Okay.
And that may be something that we're going to be seeing a lot more of. The traditional clans just splashing a 4th color
Yeah, I can easily see that being
But
done just because of how easy it is anymore.
Yeah, and as we've seen, going on 4 and even 5 colors is not that difficult now with the lands that we have, and I personally really like that. I don't know about you guys.
Nah, it's cool. It's cool.
And, and that's kind of the Star City in a nutshell. I mean, there are a couple other different decks here and there, though looking through it, I did see a lot of abs and aggro and a lot of other traditional archetypes. What do we think so far of week 1 of the whole Star City? Like, is this? Should we not even put much stock into this because we've still got the Pro Tour coming in 2 weeks? Because these are brand new lists and people are still trying to refine stuff.
So
Well,
normally, go ahead.
I was going to say, let's go back to the last Star City Open when Origins got spoiled, or when Origins came in. Now, obviously, there wasn't a rotation, but
Right.
you had new cards. So, what was the big deck that everyone talked about at that Star City? And that was Thopter Control.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it fell right off the wayside by the time the Pro Tour hit. So,
Sure.
I mean, I would not. I would. My personal opinion, I think 5-color Bring to Light sticks around only because of how versatile it is. Just like an Abzan deck's versatile, so that's stuck around.
Mhm.
Look, mono or a Tarka red, call whatever you want. Aggro is always going to be there. So I mean,
Yeah.
you never.
Yeah, it's like I said, that's been an archetype since the first days of Magic. Red or red green aggro is always going to be a thing.
the rest of this stuff is just all the same stuff we've seen, basically splat, and some of them splashing for the cards they really, really want.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all it is.
And seeing everything that's been happening, you can almost pull out you can pick and choose which decks are going to show up at the Pro Tour. So
Yeah.
I could see there being a 5-color Bring to Light, maybe not the exact list, but a list that's kind of trying to work around what they think the meta is going to be. And like you said, the Atarka Red, that's going to show up at the Pro Tour, no questions asked.
Yep.
And if you're going to FNM this week and you're wondering what you should be playing based on this Star City, I'd say always be ready for the mono red matchup because it's a cheap deck to build for one, and just people always play it. So if you're not going to be playing one of those type of decks, make sure your sideboard is ready for that. Otherwise, play whatever you have the cards for. I wouldn't go out and break the bank on any of these new cards right now, and we'll get into more of that later. But just play what you have, play what you know, and have fun.
It's important to play what you know too, because so much of doing well, either competitively or just at an FNM is knowing the interactions that your deck has with itself and with other decks. So, if you're gonna, if you're looking at this and saying, "Oh man, I'm gonna go splash black in my Jeskai deck," just like this guy did, just make sure you know what you're doing. Because there's nothing wrong with Jeskai aggro. It placed here in the top 64. It did just fine.
Yep.
So there's nothing wrong for right now with playing what you know. The pros have not broken the format yet.
Nope.
And like the last Pro Tour, they may not. Mono red may take it all again.
Oh God, I hope not. I really hope not. Nothing against mono red, but I'm already sick of that list.
Everything against mono red for me.
Moving on, we're going to move to our From the Gamers Vault section, where we talk about some local tournament reports. Typically, we report on the Monday Night League, but it is Sunday right now, so all we have are the FNM results. But we do have the 2 FNM winning lists. We had 2 guys go 3-0-1, split the top. So first was, speaking of mono red, our good friend, local legend Ed Morgan, playing I Am Gruul, as he likes to call it. He said, "Don't call it Atarka Red."
I like it. I like
All right.
the name.
All right, somebody read through this list.
All right, we have 3 Lightning Berserker, 4 Monastery Swiftspear, 2 Zergo Bellstriker, 4 Abbot of Carol Keep, 2 Subterranean Scout, 1 Shadra Fire of Kaladesh, 4 Scab Clan Berserker. I like seeing that in the main.
Yeah, Scab Clan Berserker is pretty good.
4 Wild Slash, 4 Atarka's Command, 4 Titanic Growth, 4 Exquisite Firecraft, and the
22 lands.
There you go. In the board, 2 Boiling Earth, 2 Feed the Clan, 2 Naturalize, 2 Plummet, 4 Roast, 2 Smash to Smithereen, and 1 Goblin Heel Cutter.
Yep. Yeah, just his own variant of the red-green aggro. I like the Scab Clan Berserker. I think he's a pretty good card in the red decks. Subterranean Scout, is that the one? He's the little goblin holding the torch.
Yeah, he gives a
Origins?
creature with 2 or less power unblockable till the end of turn when he comes into play.
Which seems pretty relevant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gets around those siege rhinos.
Yes, it does. Our second list was from Kyle. Is his name on the top?
Kyle Greenlee, who
Kyle Greenlee. Yep.
yeah, he won the Higher Standards Open that we
Yes.
ran a month or so ago.
So I actually played against Kyle, so I'll read this list. I
Sure.
lost to this list for the top for FNM.
All right.
So this is called the power. The deck name is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and you'll see why in a minute. So it has 4 Obscuring Aether, 4 Secret Plans, 3 Mastery of the Unseen, and 2 Trail of Mysteries. Those are all enchantments that have things to do with morphs. So if
Yep.
you don't know what they do, I don't have them in front of me. You guys can look them up. But they either make them cost less or let you draw cards when they get flipped up or go search for a land. So then he has creatures, 24. Guess what all of them are? 4 Ire Shamans, morph. 4 Den Protector, morph. 4 Silumgar Assassin, that's the one that flips up and kills something bigger than it, morph. 4 Stratus Dancer, flips up and counters a spell. 4 Hidden Dragon Slayer, flips up and kills something bigger than it. And 4 Deathmist Raptor. He's running, how many lands? 23 lands in various colors, but doesn't matter as much as you would really think because they're morphs.
Yep.
Um,
And no instants and sorceries.
None whatsoever.
Yeah, his non creature spells consist strictly of enchantments that help his morphine and manifesting.
And then in the board, he's running 2 Sagu Mauler, 2 Collected Company, 2 Boiling Earth, 1 Orbs of Warding, 1 Radiant Flare, 1 Abzan Advantage, 1 Arishan Cleric, 1 Trail of Mystery, 1 Mastery of the Unseen, 1 Dragon Lord Dromoka, 1 Radiant Purge, and 1 Felidar Sovereign. So, this list, I played Abzan aggro against this list. You would think 3 Dromoka's command in my main board would do pretty well, but man, this thing... And Kyle was able to just like turn it around in one turn. Like he played 3 morphs, and then I'd Abzan Charm, I'd Dromoka's command something out, play a Siege Rhino, stabilize, and then he just like, there was a turn where I played 2 Wingmate Rocks in the same turn.
Wow.
Both with triggers. I got 4 birds, and then he flips up 2 Silumgar's Assassins, 2 Dragon Slayers.
Oh my
like,
God.
Just destroys my board, and he's got a bunch of creatures with counters, and I'm like, huh, well, that didn't work out so well, did it?
Wow.
I mean, yeah, it's a crazy deck.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, congrats to Kyle. Like we said, he won our Higher Standards Open that we had at Gamers Vault a little over a month ago. Good player, funny dude.
Yeah.
The few interactions I've had with him have just been pretty delightful. He's a trip. So that was our From the Gamers Vault section. Next week we'll have reports from both the Monday Night League and next week's FNM, so stay tuned for those to get a feel for the local meta.
And we're gonna restart the Higher Standards League on Monday, so we'll have league standings and all that good stuff, Jason.
Cool.
Hopefully. I don't know. I don't work there, so I don't
Well, we'll
I don't
do
run
it
this
as
stuff.
long as you guys are cool with it.
Of course.
All right.
So, moving on, we're going to move to a new segment here in a minute. But first, before we do, I need to take a quick break. So, we're going to just pause and let me see at what point in the call this happened. 1 hour and 52 minutes. Oh, God.
Oh,
Okay.
It's going to be a long one.
Yeah,
I'll
that's what
speak
she
through
said.
I'll speak through the finance trends.
Okay, well, there's some stuff I wanted to talk about too, but I'm just going to go take a quick pee break. I'll be right back.
Pee break.
Chat, are we still streaming?
Yeah, actually, speaking
Okay,
of,
so
we've had 51 people on the stream watching us.
wow, really?
So yeah, I've been watching the numbers. So
I think
thanks.
I think I picked my nose at one point. That's not
I'm
good.
sure.
I have to
Well-
remember I'm on camera.
Yeah, dude, streaming gets pretty difficult after a while. And everybody that's watching, I want to thank you. This is the most that we've had watching so far. I'm sure it's because of the new standard that's going on right now, and we're going to go over some financial trends that are going on, and what we think will go up, go down. Where should you buy now, buy later? And
Sky is falling.
Exactly. So that, well, with Jace, the sky will always be falling from now on. I think whenever his name is
God.
printed on a card, it's just, that's when the price goes up. So yeah, anybody that's watching, feel free to follow, and we do this every week, going back Mondays and Sundays at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So thanks again to everybody that's following, and hopefully Jason will be back in 1 second.
This is what happens when you drink all that beer and empty calories during
You
a
notice
podcast.
that?
Oh yeah,
You see the thank you for the beer.
he you know, it started. He just had one. Now it's getting served to him. I think he's getting. Look, I didn't want to say anything, but Chad.
Sure.
I mean, we've known each other long enough now. Like, I think you got to have a talk with him.
You need an intervention?
Yeah, I think it might be time to
Not
sit him
only
down.
about the headset. Oh, hey Jason, what's up?
Like,
Hold
look,
on, hold on, hold on. Let me let's make sure everything's covered.
Now you look like Yoda.
I was going for the Emperor look. But
Okay.
Good, good.
You're more of a Ben Kenobi.
I'll accept that. Ben was cool too. So, all right. We ready to move on?
Yeah, ready
Finance.
when you're ready to record again.
Okay. So this week we're moving into another new segment. I wanted to start. If you've been listening to the show for a while, you know we do tend to dabble a little bit into financial trends. I've always been a big fan of MTG Finance for as long as I've been buying cards and playing the game. And I do kind of like to speculate, as you've heard in the past. So I wanted to start doing short little finance trend sections. I don't want to just like go and blatantly steal ideas from like Brainstorm Brewery, who do their finance picks of the week every week, because those guys are pretty cool and they know what the hell they're talking about. But I do want to talk a little bit of finance here and there. Maybe not every week, but every few weeks.
Of course.
So-
I mean, talking about it every week, it's almost like we're just watching the stocks. If we do it every couple weeks, we can actually make a better. I think we can make a better call.
Yeah.
Well, it has pertinence now because of rotation and
Yeah.
because of new stuff coming in and new decks coming out. So it's not going to be, typically, just somebody who owns a store and looks at this stuff every day, it doesn't fluctuate as much as you would think day to day or week to week. But like times like now is when weird stuff will happen.
Yeah, and I'm glad that we have Bob with us now because he can give us that perspective from a store owner, as opposed to just the guys like Chad and I who just kind of grind and just play the game.
We hope that Chain Veil is going to do something and it doesn't do anything. That was me.
Dude, I've got my playset, Chad. I've got my playset.
I was so sad.
So the first big topic is the gradual uptick of Jace Vryn's Prodigy. We've been talking about it for weeks now. I've been bragging about how I pre-ordered him at $11 because I called it the day he was spoiled that he was going to be good. Nobody else believed me at the time, but yeah, what can you do? Now, he, at one point today, I don't know what he is right now. I know he went back down, but at one point today, his TCG mid price was $85.
I can pull that up.
He is currently $73.15 as of right now.
Is that TCG or is that Goldfish?
It's Goldfish and some various other. It's aggregate sites. TCG. So first off, if we're going to talk about finance, TCG Player is the worst thing to use for finance. You can use it for trades if you want. I mean, if you're trying to get relative value of two cards, when you're talking about what a card's worth, TCG is an aggregate of what everybody puts up there. I know this because we do it. We're store. We put stuff up there, and it's an average, and just like any other average, if I decide that I want $1 million for my Jace Vryn's Prodigy, and I go post it up there for $1 million asking price, it's going to skew the average.
Okay, that makes sense.
That is very
So
good to know
you
as well.
have to. Now, does that happen with every single card that they post? No. Their prices, for the most part, are fine. My point is, though, it is not a good thing to use when just picking the value of a card. Once again, trades, that's fine. You want to use it for trades and try to compare two cards. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yep. Okay, so regardless, that is good to know. So you're saying MTG Goldfish is probably the best place to look if you're looking for...
I don't know the length and breadth of sites that are out there. I use MTG Goldfish on occasion. I like it because it aggregates what's on eBay as well as TCG and other sites. I don't know if it factors Amazon in as well too, but those are all outlets that people buy cards from. I mean, honestly, in my grinding days, I bought more cards from eBay than I did TCG, frankly.
Okay, and now either way, we've been seeing this gradual uptick of Jace. He's, even if we go with the absolute lowest, which is like the $70,
Sure.
For as long as I've been playing Standard, and Chad, I think you're pretty much in the same boat.
Okay.
This is the highest I've ever seen a Standard card that is this new get this high while it was still in print. I mean, $70 for a single Standard card is pretty outrageous, if you ask me.
Oh, yeah.
So my question is where is he going to go from here? Because he does get Eternal play. He gets more. It seems like he gets more Vintage play than Legacy or Modern, but he has been seen in those two formats as well.
Okay.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, but because he is still in print, because Origins is only one set old, like, can he keep going up? Is he eventually gonna drop? How low is he going to get?
Well, and I mentioned this to you before we did the podcast, Jason, but I'll go through it again. Like, if you want to figure out where he's going to go, I think the two cards you want to compare him to are Snapcaster Mage, because the abilities are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Liliana of the Veil's not a bad one either.
Yeah, I would have said that.
So, Liliana's a little different because you basically can't play Jund without her in Modern, so you have to have her. Whereas Jace, I don't know how much play he sees in Modern. I'm not sure, but
I've seen him in a couple of lists here and there, but he's not that big in Modern right now.
Yeah. So the thing is, so first off, don't anybody go throw themselves out of their window like it's the 1920 stock market crash. Jace is not going, I don't think, permanently to like $150. Okay, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, you can get pieces of power heavily played for less than that. So please, I do think that if you look at Snapcaster Mage, right when Modern Masters 2 got spoiled, so that's right around like the end of May. Into early June, Snapcaster Mage spiked up from like the 50s, high 50s, low 60s, all the way up to like $85. And now he's back at 65. He's had the slow, gradual decline back down. Now that reason is because everybody said, oh my God, he's not getting reprinted. I need to go buy a bunch because I need my playset. Because now there's only a limited quantity, even though they're technically still running printings of what's it called, Innistrad. But anyway, everybody went and got their playset because he's not being reprinted. It's that buy mentality. I'm not saying that Jace is the same way. What I am saying is that now you've seen Snapcaster Mage go from 85, and over the last June, July, August, September into October, he's back down to $65. Liliana the Veil at one point was like $110. She's about $100 now, so she holds her value a little better.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Jace has Eternal play, and any card that has Eternal play, is gonna go up and probably hold its value.
Yes.
How do you kind of figure that out and get ahead of the curve? I mean, I'm certainly no expert, but I would say, I know personally when I saw this card get spoiled, I was like, oh my God, they're putting Snapcaster Mage back into Standard. That's something they said they'd never do. I need a playset of him right now.
Yeah.
So when it has an ability that's a pretty broken ability in an Eternal format or similar to, it's probably a good bet, and I say a good bet, not a sure thing, that it'll probably see Eternal play, and so its value may increase above what you normally see in a Standard card.
Okay. What do you think, Chad? Any thoughts on Jace before we move on to the next topic?
So if he doesn't stay where he is right now, he's going to go up, and I think a big reason for that is going to be the Pro Tour. The Pro Tour is going to basically put him in a staple position or push him down. And we have Dark Brews on the chat saying he'll probably sit about 80.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, if he's in half of the Pro Tour top 8 lists, then he's probably going to keep going up. But if people hate him out, if you just see a lot of the red 2 damage burn spells or a lot of early removal just strictly for Jace and he gets hated out, he may not spike up and he may eventually kind of plateau a bit. But yeah, it's an interesting trend, especially for somebody like me who's never seen a Standard card this expensive before.
I mean, look, if you got in at $35, I would almost cash out.
Yeah.
If you've got a fifth one hanging around, go sell the thing, because I guarantee you, not guarantee you, go sell it, because it's not. Look, it's gone from 35 to 85. That's a $50 increase. It's not going to increase another 50. That I will assure you.
No.
You know what I mean? So you already made your money. Go take advantage of it.
Yeah. Don't buy in now thinking you're going to make even more money down the line.
Do not do that. That would be a bad idea. The ceiling is much lower than the floor at this point. That's what I would tell you.
Now, the next card I wanted to talk about was Bring to Light. That was the new buzz card all weekend. It was the card in the deck that everybody was talking about. These 5-color Bring to Light decks. So it's sitting at like $5-6.
Yeah, between 5 and 7, I think.
Yeah. So is the hype going to drive the price of this card up much? Is it going to stay up high? You don't think so?
I don't think it's going to stay. I think it's going to move.
You think it's going to move up or down?
I think it's going to get to 10. I could see 10.
Okay. Maybe if you see it in the Pro Tour, I could see it going to 10. But you got to remember, Battle for Zendikar is one of the most opened sets that Magic has ever printed. And there's a few reasons for that, not the least of which is the Expedition lands, but also you have all of the, not just the Expedition lands, but all of the new dual lands. And those, by the way, you want to talk about things that'll hold their value? Those will all see eternal play as a 1 of or 2 of index, probably. Buy a playset. Do it now. Just hold on to them. They're probably not going to fluctuate much more than $1 one way or the other, but they will hold value. But in any case, I can't, because it's been open, there's a lot of copies of it floating around, I mean, and that does play into it. Scarcity, it's like any other commodity. Right now, there's a lot of all these cards going around,
Yeah.
So I don't know that it gets much above 10, and that's, in my opinion, that's if it's in like 3 or 4 Pro Tour top 8 or top 16 decks.
Okay. So Chad thinks it's going to go up. Bob, do you think it's just going to go down gradually over time?
I would say for now it'll stay. I mean, it could just be a flash in the pan like Thopter Control was, and Thopter, Thopter Spy Network was like what, $10 at one point, and then it went. Now it's like $2 or $3. I don't know.
Yeah, and Mastery of the Unseen kind of went along the same trajectory. Remember, Mastery of the Unseen went from a bulk rare spike to $10 or so, and now it's back. Now it's back to bulk rare status. So
had everybody running for those Ugin.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Okay, next card I wanted to talk about is our old friend, the Hangerback Walker. We didn't really get into it too much, but Hangerback Walker is in the new event deck that just came out. And along with a lot of other good value cards. Making those event decks, I think, definitely worth the money and then some. So my question is how is that going to affect the price of Hangerback Walker? He's still sitting around $15 even after the event decks came out. And as we saw in the Star City top 60 lists, he's still in a lot of decks. So is he going to stay around 15? Is he going to go up? Is he going to go down?
I don't think he goes down. I don't think he goes up. I don't think he gets any more expensive. I don't think the event deck really factors in that as much as you might think, because once again, Origins was a very open set. It's still very current. There's still people opening packs, which means there's still Hangerback Walkers that are being floated around and sold and resold. So the fact that it's in the event deck and more available, it was already pretty available to begin with. I think its value is really that it goes in anything almost. I mean, it's just like, I don't have a 2-drop for this deck. Oh, okay, I'll just play a Hangerback Walker.
Yep.
So I think it's at $15-16 right now. I think it stays there.
Yeah.
Maybe dips to 13, maybe, but doesn't go much higher than where it's at now.
Yeah, okay. I could see it going down a little bit. I can say that if in the event deck they printed it with a different artwork, this would have dropped.
But you think so?
I do. Because everybody would have been going for the artwork, so it would have pushed this down.
Yeah, and they did do that with the Clash packs. With the Clash packs, they were putting staples like Siege Rhino with different art, so I could see that.
So another thing that can affect price is if, and this is more of the Eternal cards, but it's a good thing to note, is when they start giving out Judge cards, Judge promos, or F&M promos, artwork, believe it or not, does play a role for a lot of people in this game. And if there's like an F&M or more likely like a Judge promo card that gets released, like let's say Hangerback, that could certainly push the price of this hanger back down and send that one to like a $40 card. That is, it's rare, but it's happened.
Yeah.
Okay. And the last one that I wanted to mention was Gideon, ally of Zendikar. He started off like pre-orders, I think it was between 15 and 20, and then he gradually went up, and then the week of the pre-release he just spiked to 35, 40 bucks, and he's been kind of sitting around there ever since.
Yeah.
And where do you guys see him going? Like, do you think the hype was real? Do you think he's eventually going to go down like all walkers eventually do in standard?
Go ahead. Take it, Bob.
You sure?
Yeah. Go for it,
Okay. I think that Gideon probably, at least for the time being, stays where he is. I mean, he's having played with him only for a week, but I jammed a lot of games with him in a deck that I think wants him, Abzan Aggro.
Yeah.
I still don't know that 4 is the right number for that deck.
Okay.
He's great. Don't get me wrong. An emblem that you can't interact with is an anthem that you can't interact with is just nuts. But I don't think, as you said, Jason, earlier, I don't think he goes in every deck that can tap for white. So, and I think that a lot of his spike had to do with people saying this card is nuts, and I'm going to play him in just any deck that can play him. And
they were getting like 4 ofs and
yeah. And I think now as the particularly once the Pro Tour hits, I think is when you'll really find out where this guy goes to. But I don't know. I can't see him getting a lot higher. If you were going to go buy Gideon's, you might hold off. I don't think you lose a lot by waiting if you're until the Pro Tour. Conversely, if you've got extra ones you want to sell, probably is not a bad time to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say sell if you got them, and I think it's going to drop. And seeing a walker this early at 35 is very surprising for a standard. Because we've done 43 episodes of these, and we've seen the fluctuation of prices, especially in walkers.
And it's almost always been like straight down.
Yes,
yep.
And I think Elspeth was one of the ones that shot up really quick, and then started to come down, and then started to slowly climb back. But that was only towards the end. And at that point, everybody had gotten all their 4s when it was low. So I think Gideon's going to go down, and I could see purchasing them when they're around $20 because I don't think it'll go lower than that.
Yeah, but you got to think about the cons block. We had Sarkhan and Sorin. The pre-hype for Sorin was pretty low, but like again, leading right up to the release day, all of a sudden everybody was hype on Sorin. Sorin shot up to like what $20-$30 from his initial starting pre-order price of like 11, and then he eventually went back down to where he is. He's under 10 now, right?
Yep. I mean, Monastery Mentor is another card that was 70. I no joke. I opened a Monastery Mentor foil in a pre-release pack and sold it for $75. Literally ripped it out of the pack, played with it, and then handed it over to the store I was in at the time and sold it for $75. That thing was going for like 50. And that's a card that sees vintage and legacy play regularly. It is a cornerstone of a very good vintage deck, and it's $25.
Yeah. So that just goes to show Jace being like the only real exception over the last few years. Every major card like this does have a downward trend. So moving on, Bob pulled some stats directly from Gamers Vault from his store to talk to us about. So, Bob, you want to run through these next, like 5 or 6, just real quick?
Yeah, I mean, so now that it's the first week of the set being out, typically things start to drop. All the hype starts to wear off a little bit, and prices across the board generally drop on cards. So, Ulamog's dropped $10 in a month. He's down to $15.
Wow.
If he goes below 10, I'd grab a playset because I don't think he goes much. So, Atarka's Command is up $6. Over the weekend.
Wow. That was pretty surprising.
So what's its actual price at now?
It's at Jesus.
Yeah, I know you're making us do all this work.
Yeah, I know, right? No, I'm curious.
No, it's fine. It's at 14. It's at $14.
Ooh, nice.
And that's basically just off this weekend, off of it winning SCG Open. Now. you saw a very similar thing happen right around the time that Modern Masters 2 came out. Kolaghan's Command shot up. As a matter of fact, when we were at GP Vegas, you couldn't find a Kolaghan's Command to buy.
Wow.
And that was because that was a weird one where it had been out for a while, and everybody suddenly realized you could play Grixis Control and get Snapcaster Mage back with it.
Yeah, that was like
it was like, oh my god, wait a minute.
Yeah, that was right at the dawn of Grixis taking over Modern, essentially.
Yeah. So I don't know that the $6 spike in Atarka's sticks around. I think maybe. I mean, you know, but there's probably definitely some appreciation that stays there. You know,
Sure.
I don't
Sure.
think.
Even on MTG Goldfish, you can tell why it spiked because of this weekend. Because on paper it's 14, and online it's still only 650. So get them now if you're online.
Yeah, definitely. Dragon Master Outcast is another one that's gone down the new set. So it's gone down. It was at 10 when it first got spoiled. It's at 428. If it hits like $3, I would pick up a playset.
Yeah, I played with it all weekend, and it was a great card. Combine that with Ojutai's Command, and we saw a little bit of that in the Star City. So this is a mythic. It is a reprint, but like Bob said, if this gets down to like $3, I would probably invest in some more of them.
Yeah, you might be able to get the older ones for cheaper anyway.
Yeah.
Possibly. So Draina, Liberator of Malakir is $20.
Jeez.
Which is high. And I mean, once again, my totally unqualified opinion as a player, no idea why. I mean, she's a good card, but
yeah,
$20.
Yeah, I mean, she's never going to be a 4-of in a deck because she's a legendary creature. She's not that good. I mean, she's good, but not that good.
Do you think it's because of the EDH or Tiny Leaders?
Maybe. Tiny Leaders doesn't move prices that much. I mean, I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
EDH, look, I mean, there are some EDH cards that, you know, I would say almost Locus of Wrath, that elemental that's from this set.
Yeah.
That the value on that is EDH value. Like, that thing's not probably going to get played in standard, but it's like $5 or $8, and that's, you know, because it's a great EDH commander, you can build a deck around that thing, no problem.
So we have two interactions. Dark Brew said it's possible because people thought it was going to be good in Abzan aggro, and Gab Tools said Hardened Scales is why, which makes it pretty interesting.
Ooh.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Because whenever she deals combat damage, each attacking creature you control gets a +1/+1 counter. But again, we could also say that for Anafenza. So,
I mean, look, I'm not saying she's not a great card. She is. She's nuts. I'm just $20 is a lot. So,
it is. Yeah.
I agree.
For a good legendary creature. Yeah.
So the expedition lands we talked about are all down about $1 a piece. You probably see a slight drop, but they'll hold value because they're lands, and lands typically end to do that. One that might be a good buy right now is Liliana, Heretical Healer. There's a lot of sack effects in the new set.
Yep.
So, you know, Bone Splinters, Altar's Reap, that creature that sacks. So, I mean, and all
Eldrazi Scions,
and all the Eldrazi Scions tokens as well. So, you know, I have no idea other than I'm working on a deck myself. But I mean, like, it's just an interesting interaction that you get extra value for. So she's like $16 now. Mm-hmm. If somebody breaks her, she could easily go into the 20s.
Yeah, which would then just drive the EV of Origins boxes up even higher than Jace and Hangerback Walker are already taking it.
Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, that's just, you know, some stuff from the store that we saw the last day or two.
Yep. Now, if there's anything you guys would like to hear about as far as Magic Finance goes, again, I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes as far as like the guys at Brainstorm Brewery go. Those guys they're solely dedicated to that. But I do like dipping into the MTG Finance. So
they've got a wealth of knowledge with that stuff and have been doing it a lot longer than us. We're total novices here.
Yeah. But I mean, if there is anything you guys would like to hear us talk about, because we only deal with the standard cards, let us know and we'll work it into these segments. So otherwise. Oh, go ahead.
I think that we should touch on one more piece of finance.
Okay.
Should we touch on the Fat Pack argument?
Oh, yeah. I completely forgot about that.
While we're still here.
And because
we should. This is a very, very interesting this is a very interesting episode we've had.
Yep.
We have had the highest, and I said this earlier while you were away, Jason, we've had the highest amount of people we've ever had viewing us, 55.
Oh, on Twitch?
Yes.
Nice.
And everybody's been chatting it up, so that's pretty sweet. But yeah, fat packs have gone by the wayside?
Well,
No.
all right. So first of all, a lot of people or a lot of stores have increased the price of their fat packs over MSRP, which, you know, you can argue whether or not it's a good thing or a bad thing. Depending on who you ask, they're going to have an extreme opinion one way or the other. My opinion is, if a store wants to increase the price of the fat packs based on demand, I mean, that's what, you know, capitalism's all about, right? Supply and demand. And if there are people out there willing to pay $50-$60 for one of these new fat packs, more power to them. Me personally, I'm not going to do it because I know one of these days I'll just stumble into a Walmart or a Target and I'll find one.
So that's what I would have wanted to get on.
Uh-huh.
Are they eventually going to get fat packs?
Well, what they already have. And a lot of people have reported that their local Walmarts or Targets are sold out of them.
Yeah, mine was.
But they will restock because they all do. Just like what they did with the Commander decks. If you remember, there were a few of the Commander products that were, you know, really sought after, were sold out eventually, even at these like brick and mortar stores. But they eventually did get restocked, and you could almost find them towards the end of their run. The thing with the fat packs, though, is there is a lot more demand for these fat packs than there have been for anything up to this point.
Any other fat packs ever.
And allegedly, now, this came from one YouTube video created by one alleged store owner that claims that his distributor told him that they did their print run of fat packs and they're not doing any more.
That's what I was trying to get
Right.
at first.
So if you're a local store, you may get more, but it'll be off the same print run. So in other words, there's a definitive end to the amount of fat packs that are out there. That's the rumor. I'm not confirming or denying that. I don't know any more than you two guys do, and I'm a store owner, so that should
Right.
tell you something. I mean, you know, this set has been crazy. I mean, just from a store side, we ran out of product. We ran out of product this weekend. We had to go get more. I mean, like, if not for having a really solid distributor, we wouldn't have been able to run some of our events.
Wow.
You know, I mean, people bought case after case. I mean, it's the expedition lands. It's that lottery ticket of effect of, hey, if I buy a case, I mean, and really with this set, if I buy a box, I probably won't get my value out of it.
Hey man,
but if
I want to get a Willy Wonka
but if-
chocolate bar with the golden ticket in it.
Well, here's the thing though. But if I buy a case, I may pull 2 expeditions, and if I pull the right 2, I just paid for my case.
Yep.
You know, so it's like the value isn't to buy a case, which is nuts.
Yeah, it's really funny too. And I bought a case myself, and I opened 2 expeditions. I opened a Godless Shrine, which is one of the shocks, and then one of the new lands, the blue-white one, which is probably the best of the new lands.
Yes.
So, I mean, I may have offset the cost of my case by $120, but
You guys are gonna hate me.
oh boy.
I bought 2 fat. The only sealed product I bought is 2 fat packs.
Uh-huh.
I opened an expedition flooded strain.
Ooh.
So I'm up.
Yeah.
I'm not buying any more sealed product. I'm up.
Winning. Yeah, just quit while you're ahead. Walk
Cash it
away.
out.
So yeah, no. This brings a good point though about the fat packs, because the fat packs have the full art lands, which that's one of the main reasons why these fat packs are so sought after, is because it comes. How many are in that pack, by the way? Is it 50?
It's 50 or 40. I forget.
Yeah,
They're all full arts.
50
bet-
40 full art?
yeah.
No, I think it was a lot more than that.
No,
Any fat
it's not that much. I think it's 50. It's probably 10 of each, is what I would say.
Okay.
But either way, you know, it comes with this stack of the new full art lands, which are beautiful, by the way. The more I look at them, the more I love them.
All right, we've got confirmation 80.
80. Oh,
Yeah,
see, even
80
better.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, before this set was revealed, Zendikar full art lands were going for at least $1 a piece, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Full art Zendikars would go for $1 to $1.25, and then foreign ones were stupid money.
Yeah, so I mean, you're getting crazy value just in basic lands in these things. So that is why part of the reason why these fat packs are so high in demand, and then of course the chance for the expedition and everything else. If this rumor about the limited print run is true, about how they printed what they're going to print and no more, I think that is horrific planning on Wizards' part, because they had to have known that this was going to happen. They're not that freaking stupid.
Well, from a Wizards perspective, they're more expensive to make than a booster box. I mean, it's more stuff. The cardboard's better quality.
Yeah. But you're paying more also per pack. Like if you break it down.
Yeah. You're paying about $5 a pack.
Yeah.
But you're also getting 80 lands with that.
That's true. But I mean, you were paying the same amount for previous expansions as well, getting the crappy basic lands. So I don't know. It just seems to me like they should have known that this was going to happen, and I feel like they should have planned ahead better. But we really don't know yet what the final outcome of this is going to be. But if it is like they said, just this one print run and they're done, that's a foul on them, I think.
Yeah. Look, if they're not printing any more from a store perspective, it's going to be rough.
Yeah.
The natives are going to get restless really quick.
Yep. So that is the end of our financial section. And let's just kind of close this out. First, let's talk about what we've been doing. Me personally, I played FNM like we talked about. I went 3-1 at FNM I built a Jeskai deck around Jace, Dragon Master Outcast, and Ojutai's Command, and then I built kind of a Jeskai Control-y shell. It still needs some tuning, but I had a lot of fun with it. And I was kind of inspired to do this as I was opening my case, and I cracked the Dragon Master Outcast, and I'm looking at him like, man, I'd love to play this guy in Jeskai and just reanimate him with Ojutai's Command. And sure enough, it worked out really well. So that's what I did on Friday. And then Gamers Vault had the Saturday release tournament, which was a 6-pack sealed Battle for Zendikar release tournament. Did really well in that, made top 4, and split the top 4 prize. So I ended up with like $80 store credit. So having a pretty good run these last couple of weeks.
Yeah, unlimited too.
Yeah. And anybody else do anything local?
Yeah, I went to FNM with you.
Yep.
And I played Abzan Aggro, which is very similar to some of the lists you saw with Wingmate Rocks and Gideons and Night of the White Orchids. Went 3-1, so I went pretty well. Yep. Jammed a bunch of games with Jason. Got my head ground into the floor because I am not an aggro player, so I'm forcing myself to play aggro. And I think I started to get it by the end. It's a very different way of playing.
Yeah, you just jump in the water and sink or swim.
Yep. I built a colorless aggro deck I had some fun with, and an Esper control deck. I think Sahin Shirani's list that I also played over the weekend, and that seemed to play well. And then I went to the Saturday release event as well, and got the top 8, and I think I lost to Don Perrion, who played big giant Eldrazi creatures and ground my face in.
Yeah, Don Perrion and his son Mike are probably the 2 best limited players I know personally.
They're great.
And we did play out the top 4, even though we agreed to split the top 4 prizes. We still played it out, and Don and Mike were the final 2. So
okay.
Mike beat me in the quarterfinals, and then Don beat whoever his opponent was in the quarters. So, Chad, you been doing anything?
I am waiting out the MTGO release. So okay. I did the family thing this weekend, as I'm sure you guys hate me for. But yeah, I did the family thing this weekend, and then I'm just holding out until I haven't actually bought anything of Battle for Zendikar. Yeah, surprising.
No paper cards at all, huh?
No, not yet. So,
well, you did help me crack my case, true. So I'm sure that
I've touched it. The feel, like it kind of it gave me that feeling of being able to see the cards. But yeah. I'm waiting for the MTGO release, and then I'm probably going to be grinding on the pre-release, and then I might even try standard as soon as the pre-release goes off.
Okay.
And I'll be on there with you, buddy.
Nice.
Cool. And something I wanted to mention too. This had been mentioned on other shows, but I felt it was relevant enough to talk about. So this coming Tuesday is the Magic Online downtime, where they take the Theros block and M15 out of standard. But Battle for Zendikar doesn't come into Standard until Friday, 2 days later. So, or no, it's Wednesday is the downtime. Friday is the day Battle for Zendikar hits Magic Online. So for 2 days, on Wednesday and Thursday of this coming week, the only playable cards in Standard on Magic Online are the Khans block and Origins. So that'll be a very unique Standard format. And I'm actually going to play in a couple of events, I think, over that time, just to get a feel for what Khans block plus Origins is like.
You gonna try and stream?
I think I will, actually.
That you want to give your name and shout out?
Oh, God, I don't remember my Twitch channel off the top of my head.
God.
I'll put it on the Facebook group and in the show notes, though.
All right.
And if you're not in the Facebook group, please join.
Okay.
Moving on, guys, any final thoughts about New Standard, Magic in general?
I've got one question from a viewer that asked if we can go over the card Undergrowth Champion as far as financial value.
Okay, I'll start. Undergrowth Champion is the new card from Battle for Zendikar. If I don't have it in front of me, but if memory serves, it's 1 green. He's a 2/2.
Yes.
He gets counter somehow, and then whenever he takes damage,
Gets counters off landfall.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he gets countered off landfall, and then whenever he takes damage, prevent the damage and remove a counter.
Yes.
Decent card, very solid. But as I've said before in the past, I think in a world with Deathmist Raptor, I'd much rather be playing that over this guy.
And I think that's what we saw.
Yeah, he's over $20 right now. He had a lot of speculation on him, a lot of hype. I didn't see a single copy in the Star City this weekend.
Yeah, he was in 1 or 2 Atarka Red decks, but he dropped to 1720 sitting at right now.
I see him going down. I think he's going to get played eventually. It may take Deathmist Raptor rotating out for that to happen. He will eventually get played in Standard. He is a very, very solid card, but I don't foresee him holding value above $12 to $15 long term.
I agree with that. And while Deathmist Raptor and Den Protector are going to be a thing, this thing is going to be, unless there's a mono green deck that's just somewhere.
I mean, I understand the hardened scales thing that some of the viewers are saying, but look, here's the thing. When standards seem to have been a lot lately about cards that when you play them, they do exactly what you want them to do and they need nothing to activate them or make them good on their own. So Siege Rhino, Elspeth, those sorts of cards. So anytime, and once again, totally unqualified opinion of a Magic player here, but anytime I see a card that says, oh yeah, this card's great as long as I have this other card, that takes it down a notch in value, and Deathmist Raptor does everything I want it to do in the 3 slot, no matter what. It comes down, it's a 3/3 Death Touch, and I can get it back as long as I flip up a morph, and in most decks I'm playing Deathmist Raptor and I'm playing Den Protector, so that's not an issue. So, I mean, the hardened scales thing is certainly a thing. I mean, and I wouldn't be surprised to see somebody bust the deck wide open. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, no, he's stuck in a set where there's a whole bunch of other just high value cards. I think the lands and everything else drive the EV of this setup pretty high, and I just think there's not a lot of room for growth as far as price on a lot of these cards because of, like we've mentioned before, just the amount of product that's being opened and everything else.
Yeah.
So I think he's a solid card. He'll get play at some point in Standard, just not right now, and his value will go down.
Okay.
And with that, anything else, guys?
CG Atlanta next week.
Yeah, next week we got the Star City Open in Atlanta, which is Standard, and then in 2 weeks we've got the Pro Tour and then the State Championships, which
They still have those?
Yeah, well, now Star City and TCG are both trying to run their own state championships twice a year.
Oh, okay.
And it's just another, like, IQ, almost, is what I attribute it to. With fancy playmats.
Oh, well, I'm a fancy playmat guy.
Yeah.
If you guys are in the area of southern New Jersey, please, and you're around on a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, or Friday, stop by our store because we're always running stuff. Tuesdays are draft, and Thursdays are modern, and then Mondays are standard, and Fridays your normal F&M with both draft and standard. So we would love to see some of your viewers come in the store and talk to us about Magic because we all like to play it.
Cool. All right, with that, I think we're just going to go ahead and close it out. Thanks everybody for listening. This was a long one this week, but I think it was justified. And thanks to my hosts, Chad and Bob. And with that, we'll see you guys later.
Take it easy, guys.
See ya.
We'll be back. And scene.
I like how you moved closer to the mic.
You look
when
like,
said, "We'll be back."
dude, you so look like the Unabomber with that hoodie on.
Nice.
All right. So
I'm fine with that.
I'll cut out our other. So yeah, thanks everybody for watching and checking in with the stream. If you guys haven't followed, please hit that follow button. It'll tell you when we're on next. We should be on next Monday at 8 o'clock. So look for us then. Thanks a lot, guys.
Cool.